Oh my goodness. I was saying all of that stuff and I wasn't even live. Oh my goodness. I forgot to add myself to the stage, guys. So forgive me. But I'm here. The link is in the chat. As always, you guys can click the link if you like. Goodness. Well, I'm not gonna let that stop me. But I'll probably give you episode 8 as well. I'm gonna include episode 8 with this. And I will give you book 3, season 3, episodes 9 and 10, more than likely tomorrow morning. I mean, I have them all now, but I don't want to put too many in one video. Okay, guys? So let's start. Or no, you know what? Maybe I'll give it 1 minute before I start. Yeah, maybe a minute. Let's see. I hope you all are doing well. I hope you all are having a great day. So far, so good, Well wishes for you all. Okay, let's do it. So, book 3, season 3, episode 6. Opening scene, Rock is pulling up to her house and it's late at night. Okay. And the next thing you know, there's banging on her door. Oh, no. I'm sorry. Rock is at, well, no. Okay. Scratch that. I said what I said, right? Okay, look. Now, next thing you know, there's banging on her door and it's Neek's baby mom, Panessa, right? I believe that's her name. And she got the gun pointed at her and she's blaming her for Unique's disappearance. And they start fighting over the gun. Rock gets it and tells her that she's going to keep her alive. You know what I mean? Just for Neek's sake, like that. Next is Lou and Famous in the studio. And he's like scared to feel again, get into the stuff or whatever. The music or whatever. It's like I don't know. He's just not really feeling it. Lou can tell, I guess, like that. Next thing you know, it's back to Rock, and she's telling Panessa, oh, no. Oh, it's Rock. Okay, forget it. Let me just, I have to start reading this, I guess, proofreading this stuff before I bring it to you guys because the way I wrote it, I also was describing it as if like I was writing a freaking script almost. Like, I don't know. Anyway, okay, so Rock is talking. The mom and Rock are talking, right? Anyway, Rock tells her about the shop and what am I talking about? Oh yeah, I'm sorry. I was right. It was back to Panessa and Rock, right? She tells her about the shop and she asked her about Ronnie and she doesn't believe it or whatever, right? Panessa, it seemed like, well, she doesn't believe it or whatever still. Anyway, the next is Lou and Famous back in the studio, and then Lou starts a song, tells Famous he's got it, and next thing you know, Famous, he's going crazy inside the booth or whatever, and no, he's going crazy inside, and he said the truth is eating him up or whatever, right? This is Lou. So that goes on. Next scene, Detective Howard and the like the IAD lead detective or whatever, the boss, Tanner, he's not really telling him, what they're looking into or whatever. He's keeping him out of the loop. Now we're at the audition, right? Marvin, he's proud, he's hype, talking too much. And then Juke has to kick him out or whatever. Because he's going crazy. Going off, about his daughter or whatever. Like, yeah, she's the best thing, that type of stuff, Proud papa he was. So next scene, Famous walks in the door and Kanan is on the phone. Famous tells him what happened with the gun. And then he winds up telling him that he sold him out, and then then Kanan kicks him out. Next scene, right? So Juke and the group and the manager tells him what the people thought about it. Next scene, Neek baby mom, she catches Ronnie stealing all the Neek stuff, like his jewelry and his money, and then he pushes her down and takes off with the bags full of Neek stuff or whatever. Next scene, Kanan's workers stop by while they're arguing about what she did, you know what I mean? Talking about his mom with Roxette or whatever. The detective and his boss now, Detective Howard, that is, they're talking about new moves for him, about like how him moving up in rank or whatever. Next thing, Ronnie shows up to Elena's house and tells her that Neek is gone and he wants to do business. So she's like, it's only going to be between them two, nobody else. Next thing, Kanan and Rock and the worker talking, because he has like an ACS worker or whatever since the gun thing. And he tells her basically that he doesn't know if she knows how to love anyone. Now it's back to Lou at the bar trying to get everything set up for the opening. Marvin's at the bar. Next scene, Kanan is in front of the building. Paul comes out upset, and because he doesn't have any more messengers, any more of the errand boys, So he threatens Kanan with the police. Ronnie pulls up, and Kanan tells him he's having a party. He's having a party. There's a party, and everyone's gonna be there, and all that stuff. Next scene, Detective Dad, like I like to call him. Guys know Detective Dad. That's Officer Howard, right? Detective Howard, whatever. And Rock, they're asking about Neek. He says he thinks that Neek is dead. Says it's on their to-do list or whatever. He asks Rock if she's scared of being next. Next scene, Juke is at the table. She passed the physical, for like the army and stuff. Marvin's talking to her about his excitement earlier, I guess. And he asked her, right, to help him, like, in being her father, like, to, like, be a better father and stuff. Like, to help him, so he understands. Next scene, Rock, she stops by the bar. She talks to Rock. She talks to Lou. And Lou just is going off. Respect, love, support, all this crap. He's getting it all off his chest, and then he tells her to leave, and then he starts drinking. Okay, Marvin and I put group mate here, so I'm kind of confused. Okay. Oh yeah, and his group mate, the guy, Gerald or whatever, who I may have been calling Joe. I don't know. Anyway, his group mate, the one from his group, his anger management group, right? That guy. They're at the park, and he wants to get an interview with his daughter. Some guy walks up and says he knows Marvin and Tony D or whatever. Marvin shrugs it off like, I don't know you guys, whatever. Next thing you know, And from right there, I was thinking like, man, this is some bullshit. This is some setup shit for real, right? So anyway, next thing, Kane and Juke and a friend, Aisha, they at the party or whatever. Snap's party, the one that Ronnie was talking about to Kanan earlier. It's their party, and Ronnie is talking to them or whatever. Juke is asking about Neek. Ronnie says Neek's taking a break. Next scene, Rock's building has a busted pipe. The water is like everywhere, whatever. Next scene, Juke takes Aisha to leave. They have work in the morning. Kanan tries to leave Ronnie. Ronnie stops him. Juke warns him about Rock. He doesn't care. Bottom line, he does not care at all. Next scene, Lou is drinking and he keeps seeing his homeboy again, like his dead homeboy. Scrap, right? I believe that's his name. So he sees him again. He's like, hallucinating or whatever. And next thing you know, okay, so the next one, Snap, back to the part, right? Snap is talking to Kanan, and Ronnie wants to partner with Kanan. Kanan says no until he hears Ronnie say, fuck Rock, right? Next scene, Rock and Marvin are at her shop. They talk about her quitting and about Neek being dead or whatever. And about Detective Dad. Okay. Next thing you know, Kanan, he's still at the party, and then they're out there snapping photos and things like that. Rock and Marvin show up to the big ass fish shop, right? Big Fish's fish shop. That's where they show up to. That's the next scene. And Rock wants back in, and he's hesitant at first, but then he says he agrees on a trial run, but he reminds it this time, there's only one way out this time. Like, none of that fuck shit before, in and out, like, F that. So, next thing, there's a beating at Kanan's door, and it's Ronnie, right? So he brings Kanan a big ass bag full of work. After that is Lou in his car drinking. Then it's Detective Dad answering questions for the IAD boss, and they're asking about Marvin, right? Last scene is Lou talking to Scrap's mom about what happened. He says it's his fault. So that was wild. That was a wild and crazy episode, right? And I'm still thinking, like I told y'all before, like, man, nah. Like, this guy just got to come back. Like, it just has to be something. Anyway, so now that was episode 6 for you guys. Now, episode 7. Okay, we got book 3, season 3, episode 7. Opening scene, right? It's Paul at home and he's doing a crossword puzzle. Ronnie and his crew, they bust down his door and then they bring him to Kanan's apartment. And next thing you know, Paul starts begging and shit. And then out of nowhere, Famous walks in. He sees Paul seated next to Ronnie. And Paul pissed himself, right? Famous is just there to get his things. Next thing, Rock is at the gambling office, and they don't want to work with her, right? And eventually he's like, all right, I'll give you 2 months. She took a good game, all that good shit. So you gotta go watch it, guys. So that happens. Famous is packing his things, then he leaves, right? But he has a warning from Ronnie and Kanan and shit. So they basically telling him don't come back over there and shit like that. Detective Howard and Tanner are talking about Marvin. right? And he sees Scrap's mom out in the hallway. She wants to talk to the detective that she was talking to about her son's case, of course, right? Remember what happened in the last episode. So he goes over there and he goes to hear her out, right? Instead, at first, she's like hesitant. You know what I'm saying? She doesn't really want to talk to him. She wants to see the other guy she's used to talking to about the case and stuff. So that happens. Then it's Marvin, and he's at the guy's house, Gerald or whatever. He was just walking over there, I guess, and he's seen his daughter's outside in the car. So she tells him, okay, see, now this part I wrote after that part. I don't know what part that goes. Anyway, no, but she tells him or whatever that, you know, Dad said he'll be back to get him or whatever. Anyway, okay, Marvin is talking to Joe. He's high as a kite, you know, and he's asking about his children or whatever. Next, you know, Famous is at his mom's house. They apologize to each other or whatever. Then now it's Juke and they're the group photo shoot, so they're doing that. They have already booked their first gig. Now we're back to Detective Howard, and he tells Rock that he lies about Marvin being a suspect. Rock tells him that she knows that he lied about it. And now Marvin is at Joe's, and you know he helps with his children. And then Joe starts telling his story to Marvin and all that stuff, right? Juke now is at the recruiter's office going over what she may want to do as a career. It's back to Marvin and Joe's. He shows a picture of Juke, and then he's telling him like, you know, that he wants to help Joe, you know. Now it's Lou in the studio listening to the song, you know, the one that he did with Famous and everything. Next is Marvin and Rock, and she tells him what Lou did, right? As far as Lou telling Scrap's mom that, you know, what happened with Scrap. And after that, Rock is now talking to the Chinese restaurant owners. Next, Juke and Aisha, you know, one of the girls from our group, they share a moment in the bathroom. And then Kanan's there to take Aisha on a date. And she warns the other girl to stay away from Kanan because he's with Aisha, you know? That's what Juke does, right? Now Marvin and Rock and the boss of the restaurant, he's like, oh well, he wants a percentage of the business, same percentage as the other guys getting, all this other crap or whatever. Kanan and Aisha, now they're at the movies, and Fannis refuses to take her home because she doesn't want to let him fill her up. You know, he kissed her a few times, and every time, you know, he just wants to get, you know, in between her legs with his hands and all that other crap, and she's not with it. So then she's like, you know what, I'm tired of this. And so she wants to go. He's like, whatever. So he doesn't take her home because of that. Just a mess. So next thing you know, Rock is just like casing the restaurants. Next thing, Lou is listening to music in the studio. Marvin walks in on him and tells him what he did, and he doesn't remember. You know, Lou doesn't even remember going over there and telling Scrap's mom all of that crap. Rock is still casing the restaurants. You know, she's checking, making sure shit is on the up and up, things like that. Before, you know, she commits or whatever. So she's just checking everything out on her own, you know, just doing it herself, doing the work. So next thing, Ronnie and Elena, they're kissing on the couch. And then Nessa walks in, and then she gets kicked out of her house, right? And so then Elena tries to start planting the seed in Ronnie's head that you know, he needs to take the people out, especially the family, right? Especially family like that. So they show him just taking it all in. And at that point I was like, oh no, this B did not. You know, like this B is just ruthless. I mean, we knew she was, but seriously. So yeah. Anyway, and then next one, Rock is still casing restaurants, right? And after that, we see Detective Howard and Captain Burke, right? And he's in the office picking up her belongings. And I put in prison. I thought he was gonna find something, right? Rock enters the office asking what the supply restaurant with. What I put? This is the next thing, right? I don't know. Back to that is Detective Dead, you know, Detective Howard and his boss again. And they telling him he almost has it to be like with the Queen's narcotics or whatever, right? The top over there. They start telling him about that. Next, Drew pulls up at Kanan's house and she asks him what he's doing. And she tells him about Aisha, and he tells her she's too young, maybe your type. That's what Kanan tells her. And he tells Ronnie that she's family and that she's a no-go. You know, like, like you don't mess with you type of shit, you know? Because Ronnie, you know, he's just a hothead all around. He wants to get into it with everybody all the time. So it just is what it is. And so then next, here we are, Detective Burke's father gives the ex-girlfriend a picture or something like that. And they're talking about her, right? His daughter. And then he asked her if Shannon had any reasons to kill herself. Monty pulls up on Vanessa at her mom's house, says they're family, and that she's all Jerome has left, meaning their son, you know? Like, that's crazy. So, yeah, Ronnie is a mess. Next is Lou's mom that shows up at the bar and she wants cash. And then she blames everything on Rock, then questions. After he gives her some money, she's like, is that all? Like, their mom is fucking bananas. Anyway, next, Juke tells Rock everything about Kanan. Kanan goes to visit Crystal, you know, that other group member, the third group member. Third and final group member, right? Because there's three of them in the group, right? It's Juke, Aisha, and Crystal. So Kanan goes to visit Crystal now. Last thing, Lou and Marvin, they're in the car talking about Scrap's mom, and Marvin hands Lou a gun, and then he, you know, he's still drinking, and he points the gun at Scrap's mom. Oh yeah, because they was in front of our house, so he goes in our house or whatever, and then he points it at Scrap mom's and he shoots her. He takes his time, you know, doing all that crap in the house, outside the house, and then they drive away. Now, I personally, when I seen it, I'm just like, I don't know. Did he keep her alive? You know, when he shot her, because he supposedly shot her more than once. But I don't know. I don't know. I just didn't want to believe he really killed her. Yeah, crazy. I just think it's really, really sad, you know? I was hoping and wishing that, like, somehow, she survived it, and then she just got away, she just moved away or some shit, something, anything. I mean, I don't want anything bad to happen to Lou or Marvin or Rock. It's just like, I still don't want nothing to happen to Scrap's mom. Like, I just think, man, who likes Scrap, yo? I like Scrap. I don't want to see nothing happen to Scrap. I don't care how, this is a crazy shit, man. Aren't we glad for these kind of shows? Because shit, this couldn't be reality, because if this was fucking reality, I wouldn't give two shits about Brock, Lou, or Marvin S. You know what I mean? But these characters, like, anyway. So now I did my part. I gave you guys episode 6 and 7. Now, should I do 8, 9, and 10 together? No, I said I was going to give y'all 8, so I'm going to give y'all 8. Give me one moment. Okay, so now I'm going to give you guys episode 8 bonus. Alrighty then. So now, season 3, book 3, episode 8, opening scene. Rod is sitting in the dark smoking a cigarette, and she's just thinking to herself, her drunk brother Lou is outside her house yelling, and he's about yelling about like her making him a killer and all this crazy crap, like it was so wild. Oh yeah, we're so killers. Oh, you made me a killer. All this crap in her neighborhood. So that's the opening scene. I just thought that was so wild. So that happens. Next, Kanan, Pop snaps, Pop's wife, right? And Ronnie, they're at the restaurant drinking and talking. And the next thing you know, for some reason they think respect is fear, right? That was said. Marvin is at Rock's house to get his little brother. Rock lets him know what his mouth is, what will be that his mouth is what will be their downfall, right? And okay, so it cuts to Juke and Aisha talking in her bedroom, and Aisha asks about Nicole. Juke tells her all about her passing, So now it's Rock and Marvin, and she tells them their mom is going to be coming over to take care of Luke. And that Kanan is working with Ronnie, and then Marvin says Luke needs help. Rock is taking responsibility. Marvin is truly changing. That's what I put. Like, to me, like, he's just really, truly changing. Ronnie and Snaps, they walk into the car. She asks him about a steady girlfriend, right? Pops tells Kanan that his mom is back in the game and that she's working with the Vietnamese people or whatever, right? And yeah, that's because they're all basically, this is what when they left the restaurant, whatever, they walking back to the car talking or whatever. Now it's Rock's mom, and she's at the door, and she wanted to get paid up front before Rock even left. She's like, yeah, like that shit was crazy. So Marvin now is watching Kanan and Ronnie outside his building hand out packages. Then he starts following one of their delivery boys. Now it's Rock talking to the truck driver company again, this time with the mediator, right? And the guy asked, well, what is the deal that she has with him? You know what I'm saying? And that he says he wants the same deal. This time the mediator is his little brother, who we find out is half owner of the company. That is not just that guy's company, it's his little brother's company as well. So yeah. And then the guy tells David, the guy calls his little brother a drug fiend, basically. As if to say don't pay any attention to him. And the guy, he still doesn't care. Rock is not changing her mind, right? She's like, fuck that, basically. So now we have Marvin, and so he's parked, far away enough, but enough to see the delivery guy make the drop. We're at a scene now. Juke and her group, they're doing their dance rehearsal, and she gets appointed the lead, and the girl Crystal is pissed. She storms out ahead of them. And then once they're outside, she makes sure that Aisha and Juke see her kissing Kanan. Drama. Now we're back to the delivery boy. He's about to leave, and Marvin stops him. He checks his bag, then he gives it back to him, and then he yanks his ass off the scooter. Well, he did yank his ass off the scooter. And then he checks his bag, and then he basically gives it back to him. He wanted to see basically what it was, And then that was it. Like, Marvin just let him go. Next is Lou's mother and Rock. Well, and they're in Rock's kitchen. She made him breakfast that he doesn't eat. First of all, it's burnt. All the shit is burnt. All the food is burnt. And then she tells him Rock said he can't leave, and says that, she's just gonna tell her that she tried to stop it like that. Your mom is a mess. Next scene, Captain Burke and Nicole's dad, and they're in front of his house. Next scene, Rock is gambling. She's at the gambling office again, and then the guy asks her to handle the people selling the stuff, or whatever Kanan is, and tells her to handle it, basically. Now, Captain Burke and Nicole's dad, they're talking, and he tells the captain that Detective Howard, right, Malcolm, Detective Dad, as I always call him, right, that he came to him and suggesting that Shannon was complicit. Now it's Lou and his business partner talking in the studio, the lady that owns the bar. And then he gives her the finished track of that him and Famous did together. And he's like, okay, here, give it to Famous for me, Marvin's on the phone, Rock walks in, and she tells him and shows him the drug or whatever, like with the pieces or whatever. And then they say, oh, well, they need to move on them. And then he tells her that it's Kanan, that that's Kanan shit. And okay, and then they say that Lou's in the wind, and that they she tells him to start tracking down the trucks, for the company, for the restaurants or whatever. And Marvin is just like, yo, we need to find Lou. You know what I mean? That he needs them and that he's hurting. Next scene, Detective Howard, he's walking into his office, and they're telling him that basically Marvin checks all the boxes and they're telling him to get all the info that he can on him. Famous is at the bar. He gets his song. And then she tells him that Lou may be gone for a few weeks. And then he asks her if he could use Lou's studio. And she agrees if he helps around the bar, No problems there. Now it's Kanan and Crystal, and they're in bed, and she asks about Juke. And Kanan tells her that they're not speaking. One of the workers knocks on the door. He tells him he has 24 hours to get back home. Anyway, I don't even know what the hell I was writing there, but yeah, it happened. But who told them that? I don't know. Now we're back at Pops and Snaps restaurant, I guess, and they're talking about betting on horses. Rock shows up, and then she tells them to stop, to stay away from Kanan. And they tell her that Stefano is their friend and that if they say so, she'll be out. They're pissed, And then Snap turns to Pop basically, and she's just wondering, like, is it even worth it? You know what I mean? After Rock leaves. That's what she wants to know. Now it's Marvin following the main guy, I said. He must be the main guy from that whole restaurant thing or whatever, right? He's following him. The older brother, the one that we at first believed that he was just the sole owner of the stuff, not him sharing it with this little brother. Then it's Lou, and he's pissing and drinking at the same damn time, literally taking a drink as he's pissing while he's standing in a dark ass alley, right? And then these guys, they try to rob him. And then it cuts to Ronnie and Kanan outside of social services. Ronnie says something to Kanan's worker. Because Ronnie gets out the car and goes with there, says something to Kanan's worker, like scares the shit out of her. And then they drive off. Juke is in the subway, and then she gets jumped. Like she's down there waiting on the train, and then some girls come down and they jump her. Next scene is Pernesta and Rock talking, and then she tells them about Ronnie and Kanan. Pernesta tells Rock about Ronnie and Elena, that thing they got going on. Now, next, Juke, she's late to practice. She lies and says the train was late, right? Now, you can tell she's been in a fight. You should have seen Crystal's face, though. Like, she was shocked to see her there. Like, whatever. So, okay. She's like, Juke is on some shit like, man, them bitches won't shit. Like, oh, you should have thought of something better, boo. Them hoes ain't stopped me. Like, girl, please. You got the right fucking one type of shit. Like, anyway. So now, the guy from the restaurant, I forget his name. I got to go back in my notes. I know I wrote it down. Let's see real quick. Between the younger brother is David, and he is Terry. Okay, so Terry is getting it on with a prostitute, and then Marvin is in the car. He starts taking pictures, right? Of course, for the blackmail, Terry. Oh, I wrote it right there. I didn't even have to go back. Anyway, so next scene, Rock is at Juliana's cousin's place, the spot where they always go, right? The restaurant that he's always at. and tells about what's going on with her and Ronnie. And he's like, you know what? Now I need to confirm this first, before anything. Next thing, Marvin is meeting with Gerald, right, and his daughters at the diner. And he's asking, and then, Gerald keeps asking about Juke and Bulletproof Records, which was partially owned by his family at one point, if I remember that. Both the record places or whatever business, the whole stuff got shut down, last season or whatever, right? So he's asking about that. He asked if he knew about the label and the mafia being connected, any about the organized crime. And then Marvin tells him, like, he's been asking too many damn questions, basically. Like, nah, you asking too many questions. Next scene is Juke and the sergeant. I think it's like Sergeant Healy or whatever. She's at the recruiter's office, and she asked about backing out. And here is where we find out that she signed the contract, right, with the people or whatever. Next thing you know, Gerald and his daughters, and they're playing a board game like Candyland. And then next thing you know, he goes outside and he's meeting the detectives, but the feds, right? And they're asking him about more info on Marvin, and then they threaten him. Next scene, Lou is in his car drinking again. And the scene after that is Rock at Juliana's house. And she winds up killing her ass, right? She even tried to pay her, Bottom line, though, she got her ass and then she walked out. And that was the end of episode 8. And I'm still like, what the F? Where is me? I'm like, what the hell, man? Because that shit gave me hope. The end of the episode, I'm like, no, I know, but nope. Nothing still. Nothing yet. Nothing at all. It just over it, right? So that's 6, 7, and 8 for you guys. And I will give you guys 9 and 10 tomorrow. I don't want to give it to you all at one time. I don't want to do that. Especially not connected to this, because initially when I was first going to do this video last month, I thought I was going to do it last month. So, since I didn't, but because I left this up, you know what? I could edit the title, right? So let me just edit the title out. No, but then I have to edit out everything else, right? Because I know I didn't talk about The Color Purple or anything in this thing. What I'm going to do is I'm going to shut this off. You know what? Even if I do come back with episode 9 and 10 today, obviously it will be very brief. That's why, it's going to be brief regardless. But yeah, I don't want to give you too much of my input, guys. You know how I've been doing this. I don't want to give you guys too much of my input about it. But again, so far so good. The season has been lovely. Like I enjoyed it. So I think I want to end this stream. I just wanted to get this out of the way because it's just been sitting there. So I'm gonna end this, and I will be back with more on book 3, season 3. Okay, and I'll be back with episodes 9 and 10. All right. All right. Thank you guys for listening. I appreciate it. I appreciate you all. Mwah.